Am I live? I can't tell. I've never done it for my laptop before. It's on here. It says engage with audience. All right. So yeah, this is. I think this is the stream. All right. So I found this while I was turning the laptop on. Right.
Kevin was frustrated.
Oh, oops.
He didn't feel like he was making any progress with his shoulder.
Hi.
And he was constantly having his treatment changed. I listened to his frustrations, accepted his criticism, because he felt he wasn't making progress.
Basically.
And I tried to change something.
Yeah. So he's talking about the fear of getting old, right? I feel like this is the perfect person to interview, right? For this kind of thing. So I just need to find how to get hold of him. He sounds English. He's got 14k views from about 3 years ago. So I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility to get a hold of him. I just need to... He's got 1,000 followers and he follows 1,000 people. So Happy New Year, Petro Silas Zwackelman -B9R, and hi Aishi Saibai. Hope you're both doing well. All right. Oh, I don't want to make. I have to make a Twitter account. Hang on. If I want to message him, I've got to make a Twitter account. Apparently, I have a fucking Twitter account. Well, I can't remember what it is. I thought it was on. I thought it was attached to this. Johnny Mozzer. God, this is bad optics, isn't it? I say I'm leaving YouTube for a bit and start making an X account. Right. I'm only doing it so I can message this Ian Tyrell guy. Oh, it won't even let me do it. Oh, so and fear of growing old, right? Geraskophobia. So this is the fear of getting old. All right, so we've got the through line there. Interview Ian Tyrell or someone similar. So Ian Tyrell is a let me forget the. He's a physio, so I think a physiotherapist. Oh, he's got a blog. There we are. That's much better. There we are. Right. Let me just. Oh, he's got a contact thing here. Brilliant. I'm just having a look at. Here we are. A letter to my 10-year-old self. This is written by Ian. 25 years is a long time, and Ian, I'm not sure where to start, but I'm going to try and let you know what you've been through in a summarized highlights version. I want to be honest with your secondary school. I want to be honest. If your secondary school was not an experience you truly enjoyed, you found it difficult to differentiate between the sports-loving side playing rugby and the academic side. And it made you kind of feel like you didn't fit in. You found a wonderful group of misfits, but you were never comfortable with them or the sports people. And I suppose that set you up for where you are today a little bit. And then it goes, oh, this is very long, actually. But it looks like he went away. He went to uni in 2007. He was trying to become a physio, studying for it. He wasted 7 years at some point doing something. Got into roofing, it looks like. He moved to Nottingham and then to Stoke. Then he's annoyed that he went to Stoke. Right, so he's regretting a lot of things, and he's, mulling over sort of parts of his old life and, taking where he is now into consideration. So I think it's all quite interesting, right? Because, right, think about this. When do you consider your current self to have come into existence, right? And I don't mean like being born or whatever. Like, obviously, that's true, right? That's when you came into existence. But I mean let's call it the story of your life, right? When does your story begin? Because I doubt it starts the moment, that you came out of the womb. It starts a little bit later. When did the through line of events that led you to where you are today, right? For me, I think of it as being September 2016. That was I think it was one of the first few times I ever drunk alcohol. It was the first time I ever got proper drunk or anything like that. And then when I got back from, I was in Scotland at the time. When I got back from Scotland, I started getting invited to house parties and stuff. And I started to go from being a complete, I didn't really have any friends or anything like that. For all the high school, I only ever had one friend, right? And then after I got back from Scotland, for some reason, just I had more friends and went to a load of house parties and stuff, and then got a girlfriend who eventually married and stuff. And it kind of, it's all spirals and spirals until the story of who I am, right, where I am today, kind of the genesis is in there, right? But at a certain point, is that still the genesis point for the current me? I would argue probably not. I'd say the current one, the genesis point for me, probably starting this YouTube channel in October last year. I think that was a good genesis point. Very different, And in 40 years, the genesis point for the me that's in that point of time will probably be further in the past. It might be like 15 years ago, like when my kid's born or something like that. So. And these are all questions that I think I'd probably want to ask someone who, is an expert in a fear of getting old or fear of death, right? And he sounds like he works for the NHS. I can't quite figure out where. He's in Stoke or somewhere like that. So as I finish the letter to my 10-year-old self, would I give you advice to change anything? Nah, we've done all right. Despite what the negative Nelly side of my brain might say, you do all right. You are happy. Despite your insistence, you're a miserable bugger. But if you're going to change anything, be honest to yourself. Accept the good days and the bad days. Do not beat yourself up and celebrate the victories, and who knows what doors may open. So I think that's quite... So he lives in Stoke. I can get to Stoke. Stoke's not that far away. I'm asking about Stoke, Stoke the town. Stoke-on-Trent, there we are. It's in Staffordshire. All right. Looks like it's just underneath Manchester. Yeah, I think it's just underneath Manchester. Arflenia says, I agree. Story begins a bit after being born and also ends earlier than physical death. Like you may just lose your personality and just exist. Yeah, I don't really want that to happen to me. And that's part of why I want to make the video, So, Johnny in Reading Town Square looking at old people, right? We have a few pieces to camera and a montage, right? So in the montage, right, what are some typical old, shots of old people? What do old people do, right? They go to church. They sit in coffee shops. They tend to be more involved in local communities. I see a lot of them hanging outside the council building with protesting Palestine and stuff like that. So, but it must be freezing. They're doing it in the middle of winter, right? I'll be sat there with like loads of coats on. For some reason, they're wearing a bicycle helmet. Not entirely sure why. And then they'll have like flags on their back and stuff like that. So I'm gonna say standing outside council buildings as a form of protest. All right. They go to the pharmacy. Oh, I'm live. Yeah. Okay. Right. Sorry about that. The laptop died. They had like the tiniest bit, so just plug it in. You can actually plug that in. So sorry about that. Right. Check. 1, 2, 3. Oh! Hang on. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That as far as a crow call goes. So, while the laptop was hey man, HNY. I wish this channel could go on forever. You've been such a support over the past year. It'd be difficult to tell you just how much. Kind of devastating to hear you going away. Now, thank you very much, Chris C. 1668. Means a lot. I'll say, I'm not going like forever, or and I'm not going to stop these not this kind of video, but you know, the normal kind of video I do. I just sit in the woods somewhere. They'll still be around. I'm just going to do them when I have something to say. I used to go out like when I had no like real drive to do it, just to force myself out, and then I'd go and film 6, right? And I had this quantity over quality experiment. And I've done the quantity over quality experiment, and I think I've proven my point that quantity over quality it does work, and it does help you get somewhere. But I'm a little bit sick of it, and I want to go the other way now. I want to try doing quality over quantity, and we'll see what happens. So maybe we'll have like one every couple of weeks, maybe one a month, something like that. But each one will be better, right? Yeah. AV, all good here. Oh, audio, video. Oh, and HNY means Happy New Year. Right. Sorry. I don't think about acronyms very often, or initialisms in this case. So yeah. So I came up with what I'm doing with it is I'm currently writing an episode. That's kind of what I'm doing in this stream. So I've written episode 1, Feeling Older Than You Are, Mortality, right? So I'm thinking maybe each episode is like a 1-word title, it's like mortality. And then, because you can do the A/B testing with titles now, I think we'll have one that's like a clickbaity title, then one that's like the actual title. And if we'll see what happens with it. Yeah. So the idea is it's essentially a fear of getting old, right? I mean, I look at old people, right? Arflenio says, I wonder a bit, did you usually just write only topic idea for the video, or you wrote little scripts examples? Honestly, most of the time I didn't even have that. Sometimes I would have literally the title and that's it. Sometimes I didn't even have that. Sometimes I would start a video and not know what I was going to talk about until I was already talking about it, especially in the beginning. That stopped from about June-ish. Started like actually writing stuff down, and then around sort of in December I started like literally like a few weeks ago I started writing like actual. Let me find one. I haven't plugged my phone in. Fucking hell. Need that. Find out later. Is it charging? Thing is, someone nicked my charger at work, so I had to nick another charger from work. So it was annoying, that. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of the ideas, I'm just going to get up the exact version of the notes that I used to have. I've got one. Yeah, it's called Big Video Ideas, right? So here's a few that I didn't do, right? Let me find a good one. So there was one here called How to Debate Your Racist Grandparents, and then in brackets, FUM, don't. And that was the idea for the video. And it wasn't specifically about grandparents. It was just about, you know, the kind of idea of like debating fascists or whatever, like that kind of thing. So I've got 3 notes, right? And there, one is an anecdote, which is my co-worker starting a debate about Palestine and how that was a mistake, right? So in that, I actually agreed with my co-worker and everything they were saying. They were arguing, you know, Palestine's, you know, genocide and that going on there. But I said to them after the fact, I was like, you're not doing, all you've done is cemented the idea in these people's minds of the typical lefty, pansy, fucking outraged, offended, all of these sort of things, right? You've just confirmed all of that, right? You haven't, and all your points you made, yeah, I agree with them, but it hasn't done anything, you know? And all it's done is kind of made everyone a bit miserable, right? So, and then it uses that to like set the stage, right? I use some kind of anecdote or story or something like that to help cement a point down, and then I nitpick at the point, right? So in that, you know, as I was telling the story, I'd have left in little details and stuff, like I would have told all of it, and then I would have taken little lessons away from it. So one of them, the next bullet point says, don't try and win them over, subtly change the topic to something non-political. And then it says an example. Someone was banned from Big Brother due to comments about trans people. Instead of talking about that, I just talked about the quality of Big Brother as a show, right? So you convert something that is political into something that's not political. Like, for instance, whenever Keir Starmer comes up now, right? I don't like Keir Starmer, right? But, I mean, I find that I get a bit sick to the teeth of, like, hearing people complain about him. Like, and I complain about him as well, but when it becomes like, oh, you know, when you sat there, you're like, oh, no. Why did I give this any energy? And like, the other person's still going. I've got my go-to talking point now is his hair in the 90s, right? I'm gonna show you Keir Starmer's hair in the 90s, right? He had some that guy earlier. He said you typical lefty, you should get a haircut, right? This is the haircut that I should get. You see that? Look at that. Isn't that good? It's not as good. How about that? These are all from the same clip. But compare that to his hair now, right? His hair was so much better then. It was even better in the 2000s because he had a spiky hair phase. Trying to find a spiky hair phase. Oh, where's his spiky hair phase gone? I can't find it. But you got to admit, that is not a great hairstyle, right? Does anyone want that hairstyle? I totally get that Lessons in Confidence started at something else, but it actually evolved into this channel. I'm not going to cut my hair, don't worry. I might shave the moustache at some point, maybe. I'm not sure. Because it's hard to show you what a moustacheless version of me would look like. I used to have a beard. I didn't really like the beard. I tried a goatee as well at certain points. Didn't quite work. And I tried, you know that Spanish thing where they've got the little bit there. Tried that as well, but it just sort of made me look a bit evil, so I got rid of it. I don't know why I presume it's a Spanish thing. let's see if I look up Spanish man with moustache, will he have it? Okay, no, it's just something that I've made up. But you know the little thing down here, just that little thing. So yeah. So the point is that every video towards the end had three points, right? There's one I did about only you're not nearly as cringy as you think you are, something like that. It was like, you know, no one cares if you're a cringy person, right? So all I did is I wrote down a few things that stick in my mind. So one is the note literally just says, "Showing an ex, look what you made me do" by Taylor Swift. That's all, and I that makes me remember what the anecdote was, right? The anecdote was basically she was saying, she showed me a music video and was like, you know, women don't get particularly, straight women don't get particularly many sort of sexy music videos for them, you know, where it's like sexy men, you know, they just get the sort of thing that straight women aren't really attracted to. And I was like, yeah, you make a good point there. So I went trying to find some sexy music videos for, like, you know, to help her out on that. So I found "Look What You Made Me Do," and I had some sort of, I thought I don't know, there's sort of sexy men towards the end. I showed her, and she was like, "No, this is the exact thing I don't want. This is awful. Why are you showing me this?" It wasn't like that, but I just kind of thought that was a very cringy moment in my life, right? And at the end of the day, I don't think anyone remembers it other than me, right? And that was the point of the video. So I had that, and then I just expand upon the point and I tell it as a longer story, but it just comes from that one little sentence. So, and the new series that I'm working on, right? This is what these are the notes that I've got so far, right? And they're a little bit more technical. So, like, montage, shots of old people, and I like the idea of, in the montage, it being sort of like it combines old people like walking around the street and stuff, you know, like old couples with walking sticks and things like that, you know, and combine that with like a thing of me looking in a mirror, right? And you know, I have a lot of grey hair. Hang on, I need to go this side. Oh, it's kind of hard, but can you see just how much grey hair is up there? I've got so many grey hairs, right? For 20, like all of this, right, is grey, like mostly grey. It's ridiculous. I got my first grey hair at about 18, right? And now these bits here, they're fucking like nearly entirely grey. I am going to get, like, probably by my 50s, like, this will all be grey, right? And I'm not going to dye it or anything like that, probably. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. And then you can use a face swap app to show an elderly version of me, right? So if I go to a different tab, what would I look like as an old person? Pick wand age filter. Here we are. So I can add a photo. Let's see. Let's use this picture. I want to look like an elderly person, male. I just realized this is an AI thing, but the point is I need to see what I look like as an old man. So let's use Frank Zappa. Actually, let's use Brian May. I get called Brian May a lot as well. Let's see what Brian May looks like today, right? All right. So I could expect to look vaguely like that, right? If I kept the same hair, right? So I'm just getting the thing to generate for me. And come on. There we are. Just use that email. While I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna get into the next sort of part of this documentary type thing. So we'll call it, what are the parts of the documentary called? call it part 1, part 2, and maybe part 3. What would be another way of showing what I'm getting at here, which is sort of a fear and anxiety of getting old, right? Because I don't particularly mind like how I'm going to look. It's not a case of worrying about how I'm going to look. It's more about I was not expecting that. How do I show that to you? I was not expecting that. Holy crap! I need to figure out a way of showing this to you. I have I'm just trying to. I used a website to show what I'm going to look like as an old man. So I don't know. If I go on Google Keep, or if I'll just email it to myself. That's easier, isn't it? So give me a sec. I'm just going to email this picture of me as an old man to myself, and because I know there's proper versions of this app that that are good, especially technology and stuff now. There we are. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Fucking hell. Don't know why technical issues are becoming more and more of a problem. I noticed in the goodbye video that the audio gets all fucky, which had never seemed to have happened before. I don't understand it. Chris says, if you ever think about coming to the US, hit me up. I certainly will. I will say it's quite a lot getting to America. I could probably, especially mainly in the current state of things, the United States. But I certainly want to. I want to go to America. It's something that's going to be a little bit down the line, you know. Maybe 2027, possibly. I was originally going to go this year. I know a few people in America who've invited me to stay with them, and I've wanted to take them up on it, but it's like 800 quid return flight. I also need a driver's license because so I need to pass my driving test before I go to America, because America is like pure cars, isn't it? And the guy who offered me a place to stay lived in Texas, and that's like a particularly bad place for driving infrastructure. Like it's pure. You need to be reliant on cars, even in the city where he was. And he said, I'll be happy to drive you around wherever you want. I was like, I don't really want to, have to rely on that. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to take taxis or Ubers or whatever everywhere, because that's going to cost a fortune. Also, I like the idea of driving along the open road. Like, oh, it's America. It's big steering wheel. I'm driving a big American car. Because they're massive, them American cars, aren't they? Yeah. Anyway, so the way that this video has, the way that this episode would play out, right? Johnny Moz' Lessons in Confidence, episode 1, feeling older than you are. So we got scene 1, which is Johnny in Reading Town Square, and he gives a bit of a piece to camera here, right? He gives a piece to camera about mortality, youth, and the like. Probably help you fly out if needed. Oh, I couldn't take you up on that. That's way too much. I'll be all right. I'll find a way of getting there at some point. Definitely, I will get there at some point. What part of America, by the way? Like, what state? If you're all right saying that, or like east, west. West Coast is like California and stuff, and East Coast is like New York. You don't have to answer, actually. I realize I'm basically saying, can you dox yourself, please? Yeah. No, don't worry about it. I'll just... All right. we cut around to various old people. Oh, fuck off. I just deleted it all by accident. There we are. So there's a little montage, right? Okay, well, first there's piece to camera. So Johnny Mozza is sat somewhere in. I'm using Reading Town Square, right, as an example of this. So I'll just show you what Reading Town Square looks like. I'll also show you what I look like as a man, apparently. So it'll look something sort of like this. Oh, you can't see that. Can you see that? Right there. It'll sort of look like that. Yeah. And also, this is what I apparently look like as an old man, according to the AI thing. Which, I mean, you kind of have to use AI for that, and otherwise I have to artistically CGI my face, which I'm not going to do. I don't have the budget for that. But I wasn't expecting it to make me look like that. I mean, I don't know why it got rid of my moustache and my long hair. It presumes I'm going to cut it. I just realized it changed my coat to like more of a puffy coat. I just realized. Why did it do that? It changed my coat. That's insane. It also changed my expression. I look a bit more worried in the picture I took. Anyway. Massachusetts. It's a nice part of the world. I know someone who's from there. I only ever met them once. They're a family member of a friend of mine, and I need to call actually after this once my phone's charged. You know when like you have so many people trying to contact you that it just kind of becomes a wee bit overwhelming. You're like, oh god, just can't do it for a couple of days, and then you kind of respond to everyone in one big block. That's kind of what's happening at the moment. So yeah. Anyway, so Johnny Mozza is in Reading Town Square, right? He sat on this little statue thing, right, or on a bench, and there's old people around. That doesn't necessarily need to be in the thing, but the point is that he's going to look at the camera and he's going to talk about right. I can write it. I'll probably be 27 by the time this is done. I'm 27 years old. I was born in 1999. I'm 27 years old. In the year I'm trying to think I could go for. I could either go the oldest person alive currently is who is the oldest person? Is it still Ethel Caterham? I think it's Ethel Caterham, right? She's the oldest person alive at the moment. She was born in 1909, right? She got married in 1933, right? Which is the same year Michael Caine was born, right? She could have been on the Titanic, right? And remembered it as well. Like, it could have been one of her earliest memories. That's how old she is, right? So, Ethel. Oh, do you know what would be so great if I could interview the oldest woman ever? I don't think I'm going to be able to, but I could try and find out a way of getting that done. Or maybe one of the oldest. There's loads of them. Ethel is 116 years old. Ethel is, hang on, let me just do the maths. Minus 1909. She is 90 years older than me. When I was born. She grew up with the background of World War One. I wanted to say German hyperinflation in the 20s, but 20s England. In the roaring 20s. And came into the world. Hang on, I'm trying to think. Entered the world, the vast world of adulthood during the Great Depression. Actually, technically, it would have been before. Just in time for the Great Depression. She was 30 years old. So I think like we're getting a bit too bogged down in Ethel in particular. So let's go down a paragraph and let's say, because I imagine most of the people on the street won't be 116. They'll probably be in their 70s and their 80s. Ethel I'm just thinking. Ethel has been. I don't want to say Ethel has been an old woman for as long as most of us have been alive, because I feel like the more I do it, the more it starts sounding like I'm like, I don't know, not taking the piss, but like it's almost insulting, isn't it? So I don't want to go that direction. I think it should be like, at some point, the oldest person in the world World War II. Missile crisis. The Falkland Wars. History. History. Disappearing. And the collective date of my birth. So here's what I got so far. Pretend that I'm doing a scripted thing here. I was born in first, pretend that I'm in Reading, right? I'm in Reading. I'm surrounded by old people, right? I was born in 1999. I am 27 years old. The oldest person alive currently is Ethel Caterham. Ethel was born in 1909. She is 116 years old. Ethel was 90 years old when I was born. She grew up with the background of World War I, the Roaring Twenties, and entered the vast world of adulthood just in time for the Great Depression. At some point, The oldest person in the world will be born too late to remember World War II. And then after that, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Falklands Wars, history disappearing, and the collective memories of humanity catching up to the date of my birth. Something like that. I need to write it a bit better. But I think you kind of get the point. The point being that, hang on, it's not about a number. Well, dying isn't a number. I know you can die at any point, but realistically, say you don't get murdered or anything like, or get cancer in your early age. Okay, all right. By the time you're 80, right, death is kind of it's around the corner, isn't it? And it just gets me thinking about it, and it's something that's been on my mind for a little bit, right? And I want to turn it into something more productive, because I imagine I'm not alone in this, right? And this feeling. This is just one episode. I want to do other episodes about like a creative sort of side to it, but I'm quite enjoying doing this this old person one. I don't know. I mean, it's probably not the 27 Club. I mean, I could be part of the 27 Club, touch wood, but I mean, touch wood, I won't be part of it. Fucking hell, fucking touch wood that I won't be part of the 27 Club. Wood all over the place. There we are. Touched like 3 different types of wood there. So yeah. So if I could interview the oldest woman, that could be like part of, set piece 2. Interview with the oldest person in the world. I probably won't get to do the oldest person. Oh, that said, Ethel Caterham actually lives. I think she lives in Surrey, so she doesn't live too far away from me. I doubt she's going to want to be interviewed by me. Hang on, I'm just having a look. And I doubt she's got a website. Gerontology Research Group. Because I'm not going to just ask her the basic questions like, oh, what's the secret to your old age or whatever, right? That's not really what I'm here to do. It's more of an existential thing. But then maybe she wouldn't want that. It's a bit sort of mean, isn't it? Because do you know why I'm thinking about it, right? Well, I've been thinking about this lately. I've realised that I'm one of the youngest people that I know or I'm friends with, right? All my friends and family and everyone like that, right? They're all older than me. All my friends, like I'm 26, right? All my friends are like 28, 29, 30, 31, 35, So maybe that's where it sort of spurred it on, right? What's the secret to avoiding amyloid plaques? I don't actually know what those are. Oh, yeah, it's Alzheimer's and stuff. Shit. Oh, that's another point. There's with my sort of, because the way that dementia works, I think it gets passed down, doesn't it? Does it get passed down? Yeah. Oh, but in most cases it's not. Oh, that's all right. The point is that, I mean, I've seen the effects of dementia, and it's not nice. And it kind of gets me thinking, all that sort of stuff's got me thinking, right? And there's been a death that in around me quite recently, so I've been thinking about death a bit more because of that. And yeah, definitely need to get younger friends. I used to have some younger friends. One of them turned out to be a bit of a knob, actually a massive one. And with him, kind of getting rid of him kind of meant getting rid of a few of the others that were around him. So, and they were all like a couple of years younger. You know, I know a couple people that are younger than me, but I don't have like particularly many friends who are like in their early 20s or anything like that. I mean, most of my friends are in their 30s. So, yeah. But I obviously know not to take that for granted, because when I'm old, right, I'm going to be looking back at me now and going, God, why are you moaning about knowing people that are older than you? That should make you feel good, not bad. No, everyone you know is younger than you. Ethel Caterham, everyone that she knows is younger than her. I bet most of her friends, right, are probably like, 20 years younger than her, right? So, it makes it kind of hard. It's not like she can talk about, growing up with certain things. I mean, for instance, right, I was a kid in the 2000s, right? And when I talk to other people who were a kid in the 2000s, you can talk about like having Sky TV. I didn't have Sky TV, so I never got to watch SpongeBob or anything like that on Cartoon Network. You can have that conversation, right? Because you've got that connection in terms of age and generation, right? But say if the next youngest person after me was born in like 2019, right? I don't have anything to. I mean, I don't have anything to connect with. That's young enough to be a kid, isn't it? So yeah. The idea here is, so we have a little bit of a piece to camera in a Johnny Mozza style, right? Which I probably won't leave them completely scripted like this. I'm just writing a script for the sake of it, because I want to have a proper through line. I want it to be a lot more coherent than my normal videos, right? So if we can get an interview with the oldest person in the world, right? Ask him more existential questions. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to explain to them my weird fear of dying, getting old. And I presume in that they're probably going to laugh at me and say, just stop worrying about it. You're fucking 26, That's probably what they're going to say. God, when I ID people, right, and I see that they're born 2007, I said to someone, I looked at their ID, it said 2007. I was like, I can't serve you. And they went, I'm 18. And I looked at it again, and it said like June 2007. Like, oh God, yeah, there you are. Sorry, and I was like that. I was like, fucking hell, 2007. I have to serve someone who's born 2007. Mad. That's to me, that's insane. Okay, I feel too young to be here. How old are you, Mascara? I think a lot of people have those thoughts because people have less and less friends these days, especially if we tapped into the internet. Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. We could include that. Right. So, scene 2. God, 2011. I started playing Minecraft in 2011. I joined high school in 2010, right? And even I consider myself like a baby compared to like everyone that is kind of in my life, right? So it's mad to me. Hang on, I'm just thinking 2011. So you're 14, 15? Something like that. How would you... Okay, Anya, Rock, and Mascara, what's your perspective on this? On the thing that we've been talking about here? Because, look, I mean, when I was 18, I still had, like, worries about the future and stuff like that. How forward-thinking is it? Because I remember when I was, like, 11, dreaming about when I was 15, and that was, like, the end of days. Anya, we're currently writing an episode of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and this one is called "Feeling Older Than You Are," and it's a story about mortality and something called geraskophobia and thanatophobia. That's the fear of getting old and the fear of death, because getting old is essentially a pathway to being old, to being dead. Once you become an adult, you find that there's not really much difference between someone who's 18 versus 81. You're so much more ahead of your age than you realize. Man, age is just embracing maturity. We will all die. No use to think about it. I have the Buddhist Eastern way. I have my sort of concept of death is essentially that it's an eternal nothingness. Maybe I'll try and remove that from my brain, try and move toward more of a reincarnation sort of model, because I think that's causing a lot of the issues. Is that I like being alive. Even when I'm sad, I like being alive. I like having feelings and thoughts. I like walking through the cold and then getting in. And then, having some soup or whatever, or a cup of tea or something like that. And it's like, or even being in the cold and being excited to get in, or even just get on the bus. Then you're on the bus and you're looking at the people out the window going, you're all freezing and wet because it's raining, and I'm here and I'm seeing all the drops on the rain come down. It's fantastic. You put your little headphones in, get some melancholic sort of music going, bit of archive, or or American analog set, or I don't know. I used to listen to more like what's the album called? Death Consciousness by it's the painting of the fellow in the bathtub. Oh, okay. To be honest, I've always been raised to think deeply and stuff. Like my older sister always made sure I was educated on politics, and that's why I have big opinions. Funnily enough, I've never really fought age. I did lose a lot of family at a young age, so it did sort of desensitize me to death. I think that death could be peaceful, more peaceful than living. I'll tell you what, actually, I haven't had much like death in my family. Like I don't have a massive family, so death hasn't been very common, right? It's only coming around a couple times. Most of my family that I had when I was a kid are still alive, so I've still got that to come. But I actually have never been to a funeral. I've never been to a funeral, right? And I'm not looking forward to going to one for the first time. I don't know how I've managed to make it to this age without ever having been to a funeral. I avoided going to one funeral, but that was because it was like in another country. See, Sinankar, you say that. The thing is that this year I've actually gone out and done a lot more than any other year. And that for some reason this year, this has been more of a problem for me. So maybe it's going out and living all that life has given me like this love of life, So I think they'll probably laugh at me. I'm just writing a bit more of the thing. So, all right, so we've got a couple through lines that we can put in, right? But I think first I want to go to scene 2. Scene 2, right? The retirement home. In most TV or film, this is shown as a pretty miserable place. Kids threaten their parents, saying, "I'll put you in a home." And in real life, are rife with abuse and mistreatment. Kind of the same thing, really. I mean, I want to skydive at some point. You know, the idea of it fucking terrifies me. I don't like heights, right? I went to Brighton with Lydia, right? Went on Brighton Pier, and I got halfway through. I got to the middle of the pier, and then I looked down, and I realized that the sea was beneath me, right, with all the like wooden boards. And I had this intense like and I had to basically like hopscotch my way from like, you know, when they've got the support beams underneath it. And Lydia was kind of laughing, and I explained it to her afterwards. And I was like, you know, we all have sort of different fears and stuff. I was like, it was terrifying. But from an outsider's perspective, I totally get it, because I was just looking at floorboards being scared. I get it from that perspective. And so from yours perspective, this sort of talking about death is probably quite terrifying. So yeah, now we're standing outside a retirement home. I'd love to be able to get into a retirement home, right? So now I just realized I could probably use that as the Johnny gets the bus to a retirement home. There we are. Something like that. I'm just having a look. Compared to a lot of others my age, I think a lot more realistically. They're all like, I'm going to go to uni easy, I'm going to take a gap year, and they don't tell me how they're going to do these things. It's liberating to know that I will die. I don't have much time to live, so I should live the way I want. And I think that should be the closing message of this. I'm stealing that. Closing message. Hang on. Oh, it's Charles Bukowski. I was literally trying to recall Charles Bukowski's name earlier because I was trying to refer to the postman. I knew it was something Wowski. I'm going to actually look up his quotes about death. It's very liberating to know I will die. I don't have much time to live, so I should live the way I want to live. And then I like that, Anya ROC. That's a really good little quote. That it's liberating to know I will die. I don't have much time to live, so I should live the way I want to live. The average life expectancy is about 80 years. Hello, Pearlmark. Hope you're doing well. 60 years to experience. And then in one word, right, let's list some really wonderful experiences of life. Love, passion, fear, drive, to explore the world, explore ourselves, look deep within, determine who we are, man. That's the crowd and what. I'm going to look up at Bukowski quotes about death. Where was that? I just saw that. Website's frozen. Hang on. When did he die? He died in 1994. Fucking hell! I thought he died in like the 60s. Oh shit! He was later than I thought. I thought he was born in like 1900 and he died in like 1960ish. No, he was born in 1920 and he died in 1994. He's actually younger than Kirk Douglas, and he was 2 years old. 2 years older than Stan Lee. Not that any of this matters. Yeah, I need to get the quote up. Just let me. There we are. Some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must lead. What is terrible is not death, but the lives people live or don't live up until their death. We are here to drink beer, we are here to kill war, we are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. I like that one. That one's a good one. When you say it's gotten you into trouble, Anya, how do you mean? Ooh, this is a really good quote. Don't want it in that format. Charles Bukowski. Girls tend to dislike him as an author. Charles Bukowski. That's actually a good point. I've never met a woman who's liked Charles Bukowski, but I've met quite a few men who've liked him. I love Charles Bukowski. The Postman's a fantastic book. I don't think he wrote Stupid Dog. It's not called Stupid Dog, is it? Book about Japanese giant dog. It's annoying me, this. I know what the book's. Oh, My Dog's Stupid. That's it. Yeah. Any of you ever read My Dog's Stupid? Did they do a film of it? Oh, they did a fucking film of it. Oh, it looks fucking awful. It's French. John Fante, that's it. Yeah, West of Rome by John Fante. It's one of the books in that. I think West of Rome has 2 books in it. It's like two stories. I didn't really like the second one. The second one was something to do with a construction site. I much prefer the other one. My Dog's Stupid. Don't really see why. I don't really see what's like anti-woke about Charles Bukowski. I mean, Postman seems pretty like anti-work. I mean, obviously he grinds and stuff, but he doesn't like any of it. He hates doing all of it. He hates his surroundings. He only does it because he has to. And eventually, in that, he kind of almost Stockholm syndromes himself into like. Oh, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't read it for like 5 years, so excuse my butchering fucking take on it. But that's what I remember of it. Like, it certainly wasn't glamorizing the work ethic or the endless fucking grind. It certainly wasn't doing anything like that. If I hadn't assumed I would be treated as a mature person with a brain, I would have been more cautious. I sort of forgot I was a child for a while till I got a rude awakening in the shape of the police. Long and painful story. I got embroiled in the social work system because of a misunderstanding. Oh, shit. the point I'm getting at is it frustrates me that young people are forced into a world where we have to be mature. That's another good point, actually. Whenever I speak to the older people in my life, those in their 50s and 60s, they all seem to have these crazy stories from their youth. Stole a wooden ambulance. And another who got kicked out of Portugal for some reason. Who have and here it would be good to have a couple like cut to older person telling a crazy anecdote from their 20s. Then there's me. Who have spent their 20s living very safe, scrolling on the internet, stuck at her. I don't really want to get because I'm about to blame the pandemic for it all, and yeah, sure, the pandemic's certainly to blame, but I don't want to make it about the pandemic in that way. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't treat the pandemic seriously in the fucking slightest. I went out whenever I wanted, and so did basically everyone I know. Right? No one really took it seriously, right? So I'm not going to blame COVID for it. Maybe in other countries it was more of a thing, but like where I live, no one gave a shit. I got vaccinated, but I didn't care about the fucking pandemic in the slightest. I was going out all over the place. And everyone did. The second that they found out that you could go cycling as an excuse, bam, everyone suddenly was going cycling. Spent their 20s living very safe. Right, so the young people in here, right? Have you ever held a crazy house party? You know, like the ones that you see in like the movies, like the Red Solo Cup type parties. Have you ever been to one of them, right? Or have you ever joy-ridden in a car, or I don't know, gotten into a fight, knocked someone's block off? All the old people that I know, like they're in their 50s and 60s. Our parents' generation, who are the ones that are meant to sort of raise us to be sensible people. They've done a really, really fucking good job, it seems like, because they went off going fucking mental all over the place. Meanwhile, it seems like Generation Z don't have any of that, right? And it frustrates me that I want to go and do some crazy stuff, and that's kind of what this scene is going to be. Maybe they're more like chapters. Doesn't matter. Right. Spent their lives living very safe, right? No house parties every week. No crazy anecdotes. Fueled mayhem. No theft. No scraps. No fights. I'm writing Emok Chicken I'm writing an episode of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, which is all about fear of dying and a fear of growing old, right? Everyone my age is far too sensible. But then the news, more dangerous than ever. Kids these days get up to films and where site where all of the kids these days are evil little bastards. Here, just watch this clip. There we are. Day catatonic than ever before. There we are. So I'm not brilliant at scripting stuff, so far this is what I've got. Whenever I speak to the older people in my life, those in their 50s and 60s, they all seem to have these crazy stories from their youth. I know a person who once stole a wooden ambulance, and another who got kicked out of Portugal. And then it's going to cut to an older person telling a story, and it'll cut back. And then there's me, and most of my generation, who have spent their 20s living very safe. No house parties every week, no crazy anecdotes, no drug-fueled mayhem, no theft, no fights. Everyone my age is far too sensible. But then the news depicts the youth as more dangerous than ever. The few crazy things that kids these days do get up to are filmed and broadcast to the internet, where tabloids will pick up on the ones that work best to incite anger at the youth from the older generations, where older people can say kids these days are evil little bastards. Here, just watch this clip. But statistically, the youth of today are more catatonic than ever before. Speaking of AI, I feel like I type like AI. I'm not great at scripting things. Well, that's what I'm planning on doing. I want to go and do something proper crazy. So I've got a couple plans, right, which I can't, get into. But, I mean, this year has been pretty good for me. And at some point, I want to go skydiving at some point. How much does it cost to go skydiving? £350. £350 to go skydiving. Oh, what's the one where it's you got the little? I think the reason that there's a disparity between the views and the subscribers is because I upload so much and about a range of topics that there's no clear. Say there's a channel that I like called KY Planet, right? And he has about 80,000 subscribers or something like that. And he does videos about space, right? Every video is about space, right? And that's what he talks about. Usually about exoplanets, right? But also sometimes about stuff in the solar system, right? And that's what he talks about, compared to my channel where it's a bit all over the place, right? I think that's why there's been a disparity in that regard. Did you ever go into an abandoned house and cough and got caught what? Did you ever go into an abandoned house and got cough that it was not abandoned and broke a window to go in there and got in trouble? Well, it's not that it wasn't abandoned. My one was abandoned, and we used to go in there into a big old abandoned gymnasium, and we used to throw bricks at the windows, and that was fantastic. We go out at like we get pissed, and then we go out at like 2 a.m. and we just throw bricks at all the windows, and then probably climb on the roof and smoke a joint. It was fantastic, stuff like that. I think we need more of that in this generation. I think we need more people just going out and doing crazy stuff. Because I'll tell you what, when this tame generation gets to the age of like 70 or 80, you know how there's this complaint now that like the US presidents and US politicians are all really old and we need some youth in there. When the youth of today get to that age and continue the same problem, the same cycle going on, at least the old people from before, I bet Joe Biden has done some mad shit. I bet he stole a wooden ambulance. I bet he went fucking mental at one point, right? And did something crazy. Maybe got kicked out of Portugal, right? Or just, had a wild house party. I bet at some point he went mad with fucking cocaine and all sorts of stuff, That's my point, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be drug fueled, right? It can be whatever, right? But the point is that he went and did it, right? Compared to this generation, the Discord generation or whatever, And I don't mean to, because everyone right now is doing the exact same thing, and I'm on a screen and all. So when we get to that generation where people from our, Generation Z and Generation Alpha, do that, what's it going to be like? I'm currently working on the band thing, trying to get that sorted. Main thing, I just need a rehearsal space, but I've got one person possibly who we can get involved with. Doesn't take coke though. I don't. I've never taken coke. I don't think I'd be very good on coke. I give Ritalin a go because apparently that's like mad, good for concentration. But don't do it because I just realized loads of kids in there for some reason. I don't know why. No one wants to go out. Too cold, too expensive, too busy. No one wants to be friends, it seems. Yeah, it's a good point. I think that should be seen. Should be seen for. Or no one wants to go out. We do the same things every time. We go to the same few cafes, the same few restaurants, few parks. I don't really want to take coke anyway. I just the way that my brain works, I feel like it usually needs more slowing down than speeding up. I'd be a fucking nightmare on coke. Can you like if this is me sober, right? Can you imagine me on coke? It'd be so fucking annoying. I mean, I don't really want to do stuff like that, like drinking and partying and I mean, I've not had a drink for a year and a half. I don't want to go back to drinking. I don't want to take up illegal drugs. I don't think that's the solution. I think living life is the solution. I'd do an acid trip some point in the next year. That's one that's on my cards. That's a different thing entirely. Not a bad idea, that. There are no free spaces anymore. That's a good point. But then, question: there are no free spaces anymore. What were the old spaces? Is it like pubs and stuff? Because obviously pubs you had to pay, but it was a lot cheaper back then to have a drink. Well, look, I'm not going to give any kind of advice on it. I'll tell you this, right? When I was 17, right? We went to the pub, right? And we got absolutely fucking hammered. I think I had 9 pints, right? Then we went back to my mate's house and we smoked a couple joints, right? And then a mate brought out some MDMA, right? And I was like, all right. And I didn't know how it worked. So he explained to me that basically you take a little bit of paper and you put stuff in it. And then you like that. And then you swallow it. And I was like, oh, that's quite large to swallow. It's paper. It's this material. doesn't seem like it's going to be very nice, right? So I did it, right? And I was lying on his bed while the MDMA was coming up. And it's actually a party drug. You're not meant to take it in this context. You're also not meant to combine it with drinking. We were listening to Dark Side of the Moon. And it was just pure, like that. And I was going to take it again, but my girlfriend at the time went absolutely fucking mental, and she was like, "If you've got a choice. You can either take that." Right? We were in the same room, and someone offered me some MDMA, and I was like, "Yeah, go on then, have a good time." And my girlfriend was there, and she was like, "You either I'm leaving, right? And you either come with me or you stay here, right?" And I went with her. That was probably a big fork in my life, you know. If I'd gone the other way, total different scenario, you know. It's interesting. But my point is that you're going to do some stupid things in your life, right? And that's a fact, right? What I did was fucking stupid, right? And you are going to do stupid things in your life, right? And I don't know what to take away from it. I don't think you spend your life scared of being stupid and doing stupid things. Water, when water sometimes is a bit thick. When it's really, when you get a sip of water and you think it's really thick, and you're like, "Fuck, what if a fly flew in that or something like that?" That's kind of what it feels like. One free space, there was a youth club. To be honest, I've been to youth clubs and they're not great. Hey up, Gustan, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Currently, we're writing an episode of Johnny Moss's Lessons in Confidence about mortality. You had to watch an advert to fucking watch this thing. It's not monetized. What the fuck? Oh, it is monetized. Hang on, let me take the monetization off. Hang on. That's bullshit. You shouldn't have to watch an advert to watch this. This is fucking shite, isn't it? Benja. The monetization, you earn fuck all from these. I'll tell you that. Because Benja, you just got monetized. You earn so little from these live streams like this sort of thing. I think if I kept it on, I would have made probably about 20 pence. And I'll tell you what, I found 20 pence actually when I went out I had to cash a check, right? So I found 20 pence on the floor. I was like, nice, yeah. So yeah, Benja, I'm writing. I told you actually in a voice note about the plan that I had for next year. Don't spend it all at once. I told you about the plan for the next year in terms of my videos, right? I'm currently writing one of the episodes. That's my plan actually for next year. I'm going to do mushrooms though. I think I've done LSD a couple of times, and I want to try mushrooms. I'm not sure. I wanted to get a bit warmer, maybe April. Hell yeah, I guess. Let's do it. Say April, because that way it'll be a bit. I don't want to do it now. It's fucking miserable and cold out, you know. Should we do it 19th? Bicycle Day. That's the day they do it. Fuck yeah. That's a high five. That's it. Confirmed in the books, right? That's sorted. That's New Year's resolution. That's an easy resolution. Because the point of this is all about 19th of April. Because the whole point of this is living life to the fullest. You know, we've only got one life, right? And I think it's our duty to spend it wisely. Yeah, we should spend our life wisely. Because you ever seen it's not About Time. What's the fun with what's the singer's name? You know the film where like everyone has a wristwatch and they have like a countdown on their watch, right? And when they get to 0, they die. and they spend their time in currency. So if they go into a coffee shop, they're like, "Oh, one coffee, please." I'll go, that's 10 minutes, please. Justin Timberlake, you know the Justin Timberlake film? It's not it's called like Just in Time. It's called In Time. That's it. Yeah, it's not actually a very good film, but the concept of it is, to be honest, it's just an excuse for puns. Essentially, that's why I kind of like it. It's for just like puns where someone will just look into the camera and go, "Running out of time. Oh God, I'm running out of time." You know, all this sort of stuff. It's like, for God's sake. I'll tell you what, it's funny. All that the movie's not actually that long, 109 minutes. I haven't actually watched it for quite a while, but that said, I do think there should be more movies like this. Point is that so we got scene 3. And one of my favorite movies is Phone Booth. Right, I'll tell you what. This is actually what kind of sparked all of this for me. This sort of talk about death and stuff. I watched Phone Booth with someone, right? And Phone Booth is a very short movie. That's like 78 minutes or something like that. I watched it, right? I love that movie. It's Colin Farrell, and he gets stuck in a phone box, and there's a sniper watching him, and he has to do everything he can to live, right? And the person I was watching it with said they didn't like it, and one of the reasons is they said no one wants to live that badly, and that's kind of got me thinking about death and stuff like that. It's just an interesting thing to me, and I feel like this is going to be an interesting artistic representation of it. It'll be like a 20-25. I imagine it being like, imagine a BBC series, right? 28-minute episodes each. I want it to be like it could be shown on telly. Maybe after The Watershed, but that's the point. Mascara and Anya, you guys you guys are kids. You should, from this, live as crazy as you can, like. And when I was 18, I wanted to grow up as fast as possible. I wanted to mature. I wanted to be as mature as I possibly could be, right? Because the girlfriend I had at the time was trying to make everything get taken really serious. She just wanted to get married and all this shit. And then I got married at fucking 20 years old, right? So I felt like those core, youthful sort of parts of my life I didn't get to have. So now I'm trying to make up for it now, And what I'd say to both of you is if you ever get to that fork in the road where it's between, that little party life and that girlfriend, right? Don't chase the girl in that situation. Fuck them. You're never going to stick with the person that you met when you're 18. Don't worry about it, right? They're some nobody. They're a chapter in your life, right? And make sure that it's as short a chapter as possible, right? That's not to say go and just do the MDMA, but my point is that, yeah, fuck around, make a band, go crazy, go to some little gig things, go to some open mics and hang around in the back smoking cigarettes and get a joint out, stuff like that. You shouldn't have gotten an advert. I'm turning the monetization back on if you've got an advert. I might as well get this advert money. If you're having to watch them, I can hit low ads. I can hit low ads. Oh, I could do scheduled ads. Every 30 minutes. Is that it? Manual. There we are. Yeah. So now it should only show you an advert when I click the advert button, which has just appeared. So there's now an advert button here. So I'm not going to click it, but if you see an advert, let me know and I'll try and sort it out. I'm not going to click it. I won't click it. Actually, I'll tell you what, it wasn't the button I thought it was. I actually don't know how to make an advert happen now. But to your point, Castle Hassle, right? All the people I know who are happy with someone in their old age, with the person they met when they were teenagers, right? I see a lot of old couples, right? I don't know. It doesn't, all the couples that I know, they all kind of met in their 30s and stuff. And when I had that first girlfriend, I thought I was never going to feel love like this ever again because it was the first time. It was, like in a film or something like that. It's coming of age. You're growing up together. You're going through so much. You're going through the hard times. And everything's so intense when you're a kid. But the girlfriend that I have now, I love, infinitely more. It's a different type of love, but it's just as intense, if not more intense. And I think that's the key. I think when you're young, you feel like, there's that whole saying of like, well, it's not saying, it's an advert. I don't want to grow up. I want to be a Toys R Us kid. I had that all the time as a kid, and then you'd see signs on parks saying you can't come in here if you're over 14, right? And me and a few mates, right, including Gistan actually, we went into a park and we were just like going on the swings and stuff, and we were like 19 at that point, right? And it's like, fuck them, that's just a little memory. You can do all sorts of stuff like that, and that's what I want to get across with this video. I want to get across all of that, and I'm just trying to figure out how to condense that into, let's say, a few points, because that I feel like we've covered a lot, right? Hang on, let me think. So, 1, this is basically our thesis, right? 1, you should live life to the fullest. We are children who are being forced to grow up. Life is a resistance to said maturation. Death is inevitable and certain. Death, we should not allow it to plague our minds while we're still alive. We should not waste the time when our bodies are at their prime on anxiety. Do you know what it's kind of like? When you get in a really warm bath, nice bubble bath, you get into it and it's like, oh, that's nice, right? At some point, you're going to have to get out of that bubble bath, right? You're washing your hair, right? And then you think, okay, after this, I've got conditioner, and then I've got washing my body, and I've got a little bit more sitting in the bath, and then I've got to get out of the bath, right? Right. 1 sec. I'll come down in a sec.
Oh, I was just going out.
Oh, okay.
You can make it back.
Probably not. Don't know, about 4. All right.
If not, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let's see. That's so point 1. You should live life to the fullest. We are children who are being forced to grow up, and life is a resistance to said maturation. Right. 2, death is inevitable and certain. Because we cannot prevent death, we should not allow it to plague our minds while we're still alive. We should not waste the time when our bodies are at their prime on age anxiety. You definitely still have youth. Because I'm 26 as well, and I feel like I don't, but I know what I do. Whenever you get outside of context with someone who's older, you know that you have youth. So, yeah. Point 1, you should live life to the fullest. 2, death is inevitable and certain. And 3, I don't know. What should the third point be? I guess that's it. Those are the 2. It's like life is like getting into a bubble bath. It's lovely, but at some point, get out of it again. Time in the bath. There we are. Life is like getting into a bubble bath, which is suspiciously close to life's like a box of chocolates. It's lovely, but at some point you need to get out of it again. You can never enjoy. You can either, I shouldn't say ever. You can either enjoy your time in the bath, or you can worry about getting out of it. Rooted in attitude. Oh, what's the saying? You don't stop having fun when you grow old. You grow old when you stop having fun. There we are. Live in spite of the surveillance state. That's actually kind of a point for another video. That would be episode 2. I'm going to write that. Live in spite of the surveillance state. Lovely. And then what should we call that one? I don't know. I'm not going to write a second episode yet, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just having a look at some of the comments. I think I'm going to wrap this up. I hope I've kind of made it clear with this sort of stream that the channel isn't going anywhere, that I'm not going anywhere. And the videos themselves aren't really going to go anywhere, but they're going to become less frequent. And at some point, hopefully, we'll start seeing these videos actualized. And that should be quite fun. I'm excited for it. So, yeah. And I'm excited to do some mushrooms with Gistan as well. That should be fun. So, yeah. I think that's going to be everything. If anyone has any questions or anything like that, we'll do a quick, let me know. Yeah, nothing wrong with being emo. Like when I was a kid, I used to be a lot more judgmental. I used to think of emos as being like terrible and all this sort of stuff. But as long as you're having fun, as long as you're having fun. If you're an emo and you don't enjoy being an emo, that's when the problem comes. So yeah. So I'm probably gonna. Oh. My potential techniques channel where I try. Jeez, man, you think your channel isn't going anywhere? My potential techniques channel. Well, do you know what? With most YouTube channels, what happens is that they go through phases where they start off uploading all the time, right? And then they take H1 guy for an example. He used to make loads of videos, like he'd make 2 videos a month or something like that. And then as time went on, he would make less and less. But the videos themselves would become longer and more in depth and also larger and grander in scale until eventually he is where he is today, where he makes like 1 3-hour video per year or every 2 years. He hasn't made one for about 2 years. But I bet he will come back with some massive fucking thing where he'll make a joke about how he missed his Christmas schedule, right? And it'll be like 4.5 hours, right? And it will be about something weird, right? And that's what this channel will eventually be like, because I think that's the pattern for most channels. Take CinemaSins as a different example, right? Not that they're a great channel or anything like that. They're a bit shit. But the point is that they start off with short videos and they grow to have longer videos. I think that's what happens with most YouTube channels, is that they eventually start to have a less consistent upload schedule, but they have better videos. Oh, yeah, Castle Hassel is completely right, by the way. The world is not more unsafe. I mean, if you look at deaths from all sorts of things and attacks and crime statistics, and pretty much depends on where you are, obviously. But at least here in the UK, everything has gone down across the board, and it's much safer to go out today than it was, say, 10 years ago. And 10 years ago compared to 20 years ago, much, much safer, right? So you can take many more risks now than you would be able to in the past. And I think people are a lot more accepting of anyone with their, quirks and charms, whoever they may be. We've all got our own, intricacies. We've all got the thing that makes us us, And I think people are a lot more accepting of that sort of stuff now, whether it's, and it's, I'm not just counting, all the usual stuff like LGBT and like different races and stuff. I just mean sort of, say, people with stammers, right? Or, I don't know, people who are shy, and anxious, and, I don't know, people who have a lisp. I always think it's a bit funny that they called it a lisp. Like, it's like how the fear of long words is some ridiculously long word. I always find that kind of amusing. But yeah, that's the idea. My New Year's resolutions for 2026. Take some mushrooms. Go hang gliding or skydiving or something like that. Leave the continent. Go to maybe Africa or America or Asia. Get a full-time job in like the career that I actually want, which is more like camera stuff. So I like the idea of working in a camera rental shop. I think I'll be quite good at that, because I don't particularly like being on film sets, but I love working in the film industry. I just don't like being on film sets at all. So I'd like to transition over to doing like working in a camera rental shop. Just sitting behind the desk, taking stock of what's there, who has what, making sure that things get paid on time, all this sort of shit. I'd like to do that. So I'm applying for loads of jobs in that field. And those are my 4 resolutions. Get a job that I want, go skydiving, leave the continent, and take some mushrooms. And quit smoking. But I'm not like in any rush to do that. I did quit smoking for about 4 months actually, and then I went back to it. But you know what? Honestly, I haven't noticed a difference in myself. I didn't feel better during the 4 months, and I don't feel worse now. So I just went back to it. I was like, well, I haven't noticed any sort of change other than I'm a little bit more bored and like not as happy as I was while I was smoking. So I just went back to smoking. No, I like the physical thing of having a fag. There's social. Oh, here's a good anecdote. So me and my friends, we went to Portobello one time about 6-7 years ago, and we were sat outside a cafe, right? And it was the middle of summer, right? And there were a load of people on the other side of the road, right? All sort of spilling out to the road, loads and loads and loads of them, all chatting and talking. They all looked a little bit like upper class, right? So I asked my mate if he could roll me a cigarette, right? And he rolled me a cigarette and he gave it to me. I was like, oh, cheers. And he went to give me a lighter. I was like, no, don't give me a lighter, right? And I got up and I went over and I went around and sort of, oh, excuse me, do you have a lighter by any chance? Oh, excuse me, do you want to use your lighter? Like that. And someone eventually, you do that, and then I can't smoke in it, but yeah, and you do that, right? And I'm like, what is all this around here anyway? And they were like, oh, it's a book launch. That guy over there, he's just released his book, and we went over to him, and we had a bit of a chat, and then we went inside the building that they were kind of standing outside of. There was a jazz band in there. And they were giving away loads of free fucking wine and beer and stuff. It was fantastic. And me and all my I came back to my mates outside the cafe, and I was like, guys, there's fucking loads of free booze in there, and like everyone, there's a jazz band and everything. Let's go, right? So we all went in there. I had to convince them a little bit, but we all went in there. We went around to the back, found a little kitchen area, and we just went ham on just drinking as much of it as we could. It was fantastic. Listening to this beautiful fucking jazz, like free-form jazz, fantastic. I've read some of the book. The book was fine. and we had a few chats with people. I think I had a chat with the guys, the author's dad, and we had a lovely time, you know. And we were there for a little while, and then we went off, you know. And that's what life should be. That's what life should be about, is doing things like that, right? As much as you physically can. That's important, right? Get yourself into weird situations that you wouldn't otherwise find yourself in. I recently interviewed the mayor of Hillingdon, right? I interviewed the mayor of Hillingdon dressed like the Johnny Mozza fucking drapes and stuff with the fucking orange trousers, these trousers, right? And I interviewed him, and I was completely taking the piss during the interview. And then I also interviewed a woman called Deirdre Costigan, who I don't like. She's a politician for Labour, and I just took the piss with her, you know. And we were in a soup kitchen. There were no fucking homeless people at the soup kitchen. It was all just like richer fucking politicians and council members and stuff, all just sitting around circle jerking about how great a job they'd done. I was like, fucking hell. And so I filmed a load of it. The audio hasn't come out very good on it, so unfortunately I can't use it for anything. But I did it, and then what did we get out of that? Got a load of baklava. So that was all right. So, yeah. That's what I think we should all be doing. I want everyone in this group chat to next year do something like that, especially the younger ones. Anya and I can't remember what the other one was called. What were we? Miss Gara. Hopefully, use next year, go out and do something crazy like that, right? Because the consequences, well, the worst that can happen is you face the consequences. That's the worst that can happen with anything, right? So take a chance, go mental, right? And that's my thing. And I will consider it, Chris. If you send me an email, be able to keep a bit more, you know, down with it. But yeah, I definitely will consider it, Chris. I'd be down for it. So yeah, definitely go as mental as you possibly can. Right? If you're underage, try and buy some booze underage. Worst that happens is that you fail. Right? You need to try another shop. Right? I'm not saying you have to do that. You don't have to go get drunk or whatever. But point is that you can go do some crazy stuff. Right? Main key is you need to find someone to do it with. So if your friends are getting a bit boring, find some new ones that will go do some crazy stuff. And you can have more than one group of friends at a time. But as I said, the worst that happens is you face the consequences of your actions. Right? This YouTube channel started because I went and did something mental. Right? Which started this YouTube channel and start making a film with absolutely no fucking plan whatsoever. And I faced the consequences, which is the film didn't work. Actually, incidentally, I could upload the rough cut of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, what I've got so far. It doesn't make a vast amount of sense, but I could upload that if you wanted to see that. But yeah, apart from that, I think that's going to be about everything. Yeah, what Castle Hassel says, I think, is key. You know, if you're not the type of person that needs this sort of stuff in life, then you don't have to. Do what feels good to you, you know. For me, I wanted to go out and have all these sort of experiences. Some people, you know, are more introverted, and to them, this all sounds like a chore, you know. So, as Castle Hassel says, I mean, you don't have to just do what I'm saying. Do what feels right in your head. And the key is, don't let anyone make you do something that you don't want to do, unless they're paying you well. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it. Just seeing a comment there just saying, I'm breaking the spell by looking for new music. And then they replied to themselves saying, and yes, we all assume there will be sex bots in the future. So, yeah. Yeah, I hope this has made it clear that, you know, the goodbye for now video is not absolute. It's not an absolute closed ending. It's a soft ending. And yeah. That's going to be it from me. Thank you very much. I actually need to leave. I'm meant to be seeing my girlfriend. I said I'd be there at 4. I'm going to be there way later than that because I've spent so long doing the live stream. If you're looking to write new music, tell you what, Official Morrison Films @gmail.com. If you email that, then I've got it somewhere so I can come back to it in terms of like collaboration, doing collaboration and stuff. Because I've got so many people now that have messaged me saying that they do music and stuff that I need to set some time aside to like sort that out. Because I do want to do the email band, but for now, I just need to take some time to rest and recuperate a little bit. And I do want to do the email band. And yeah, there will be more times. I mean, I'm going to come back and do more of these streams anyway, because they're easy. I just realised I should probably let you see the actual. Fuck, you got to go so far away. There we go. Ben just taught me how to do this. I can't do it on the 5th fret yet. I do listen to King Gizzard and Wizard Wizard. Hang on, I'll try and remember how it went. Oh. Rattlesnake, 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 da da da. Rattlesnake, 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 rattlesnake. It doesn't sound anything like that. I used to be able to do Billabong Valley. I need a microtonal guitar for it. I once played Rattlesnake 8 times in a row. The touchscreen radio. I'll tell you what, when I went to one, it had the same sort of thing. And it had King Gizzard. I typed in King Gizzard to see what they would had. And they had the ambient intro to Chunky Shrapnel. And that was the only thing they had. That was the only King Gizzard song they had. It's like Anesthesis or something like that. That was the only one they had. I tell you what, I could play some normal conversation. It's called Get It Out of the Way. This is, well, the album's now called Miserable Bastard, which is the album I'm working on, which we could make part of the email band. I don't mind. I'm not going to play the whole thing. The debate is endless now. The debate is endless now. How did it come to this simplistic ignorance? The debate is endless now. That's the song working on. Lyrics are done, but yeah. So that's it from me. Thank you all very much for watching this stream. Yeah, we'll be back again, probably for another stream, maybe another video. But yeah, just expect them a little bit less frequently for a little bit, especially while I work on this and getting a job like that I actually want. Because I really want to quit my job. Love you all. See you all in 2026.